Leaping is a form of locomotion. It consists of a graceful long step so that the body lifts off the ground to cover a distance or a low obstacle. A short run before a leap aids the momentum of the leap. It is important to take off on one foot and land on the opposite, whilst keeping your eyes up.
Fundamental is defined as the formation of a necessary base or core, and that is precisely what is meant by a fundamental movement skill. Leaping is one of the basic movement skills learnt in early childhood and is a progression from running and jumping. According to the Victorian curriculum, foundation level students should be practicing locomotor skills such as running, hopping, skipping, and indeed leaping. It is essential for laying the foundations of fine and gross motor skills and for sport-specific skills such as those seen in gymnastics, dancing, football, and tennis. Mastering the leap will enable students to develop better spatial awareness and balance, while giving them a richer understanding of their bodies. The importance also lies in physical, social, and cognitive development and not wanting children to get caught in a negative spiral of disengagement.
The fundamental movement skill of the leap should be introduced at foundation or level 1 and mastered by level 3. At level 1, children should be able to maintain forward movement and take off and land on opposite feet. By level 2, children should be able to land and leap without losing balance. And by level 3, children should be able to focus on straightening their legs while performing the leap, while keeping their eyes forward. Introducing the children to the leap at this age helps develop their fundamental movement skills that can be incorporated into other physical activities such as sports, dancing, gymnastics, netball, and basketball.
Modifications can be made to assist students who may struggle with leaping. If a child is unable to run into the leap, the activity can be adjusted easily by the child walking instead. The child should still aim to take off on one foot and land on the opposite whilst keeping their eyes up. No equipment is required for this modification. Another example of a modification drill is to set up markers a short distance apart and demonstrate how to take off from one foot and land on the opposite. Once the student is able to perform this task, the markers can be stretched out to a further distance to make the activity more challenging. The third modification that can be made is in the form of a game. This will ensure that the child is engaged and make learning the skill more enjoyable. Begin by setting up 2 skipping ropes in the shape of a V, then place small beanbags inside the V as a visual representation of crocodiles. The objective of the game is to leap across the river without falling into it. The teacher can demonstrate leaping across the river at the end with the smallest distance and slowly progress.
While teaching a new skill, student safety and inclusion are your number one priority. Making sure students are competent in the movement is important, but they will struggle to learn if they are staring into the sun or can't hear your instructions. Students should be standing within a 10 and 2 range of the teacher and within set boundaries. Remember your socks up. All students should have enough room to practice without fear of running into others. Remember to slip, slop, slap when working outside and have students wear their hats. The teacher must have complete visibility of their class to be there when students need help and to involve themselves in their lesson, making sure to check for understanding throughout. And of course, smile while giving instruction and feedback.
The key teaching points for the leap includes maintaining eyes forward and taking off and landing on opposite feet. Breaking down the skill for young children can really help them to understand the skill and be able to perform it more proficiently. The teacher is demonstrating to the student the correct way to perform the leap. Here, she explains and demonstrates that the eyes need to be focused forward, and how to take off from one foot and land on the opposite.
Some common problems that children will encounter when learning how to leap include failure to use arms in opposition to legs, inability to perform a one-foot takeoff and then land on the opposite foot. Most students will often hop in their early attempts to leap. restricted movement of arms and legs, lack of spring and elevation in the push-off phase, landing heavily and flat-footed, failure to stretch and reach with legs. If a child is using ineffective arm swing, encourage the child to use their arms to move through the air. If a child's arms are beside or behind when landing, encourage the child to reach forward. Safety should always be considered in any teaching environment. The Socks Up method is a great way of ensuring all areas are covered.
Bring feedback to students as simply as possible by giving short, specific and accurate instructions, making sure to keep it positive so they are encouraged to keep trying. For example, "You're doing a fantastic job, I just need to see those eyes forward." It may be helpful to remind the whole class of the key teaching points as you go. That way you give them all feedback before any individual needs it, whilst including everyone. The teacher needs to know exactly what they are teaching and how to teach it correctly. Lastly, constructive feedback should be provided during the lesson so students have time to practice the new version of their skill.
For further information, please see the Department of Education website where you can access and download the Fundamental Movement Skills Book, a fantastic resource to have. You can also visit healthyactivekids.com.au for some great resources. Happy leaping!
Galloop went the little green frog one day. Galloop went the little green frog. Galloop went the little green frog one day, and the frog went glunk, glunk, glunk. But we all know frogs go la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da, la-di-da-di-da. We all know frogs go la-di-da-di-da, don't go glunk, glunk.